No, probably not. I try to keep us out.
Good job. You're right. Thank you. And you do a good job of that, by the way. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, September 25th. The time is 10:03 a.m. This is a special meeting to consider the relocation of our Office of Emergency Management, or the procurement process for it. And so attending are Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Fillios. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Moving on, our one and only potential action item is the procurement process for the Armory Building project. Shawn, will you lead us off?
That would be me, yes. So let me kind of explain how we got to the place where we're at right now, because it's not what we had originally intended. Our original plan was to open bids on the 29th, and that's not going to happen, most likely. So we had reached out, we being Corey and myself, had seen the estimate for the amount of money that the construction was going to cost. Reached out to the RMO, and we were told that we were going to follow the federal guidelines and just to get 3 formal bids. And so that's pretty much what we did. We picked 3 contractors. Corey did a walkthrough with those 3 contractors, and we were scheduled to open bids on the 29th. And at some point in time, a 4th contractor caught wind of what was going on and wanted to come to the party. So in following up, it was determined that this, in the federal language, from what I was told, there is some language that says that state law is applicable where it applies. So in other words, that means that the state statute would take precedent. That was my understanding. Well, because of the amount of money, that means that this has to be a request, a formal request for proposals. It means it has to be in the paper twice, 14 days, 7 days, back to back, open sealed bids in a public meeting, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody knows how that goes down. So I'm here, that's how we got to where we're at today. So I have a couple options on the table that we can discuss. Keeping in mind that December 30th is kind of a drop dead date for payment, punch list, retainage, the whole 9 yards. So option number 1 would be that Corey could scale this back, take some things out of construction, and try to get it under $200,000. Now, there's no guarantee that the bids would come in all under $200,000, but if you were to, let's just say, take out all the LED lighting and maybe not put up this partition or that partition, or however you wanted to do it, then the downfall to that is that at some point in time down the road, you're going to have to find the funding to fix it, because the CARES will have ran out on you.
Got it.
Okay?
Option 1, yeah.
Option 2, which I think is the best option, is we bid the full project. The only possible way that we can pull this off in such a tight time frame is if we do some things outside the box. And I before I go any further, I want to thank Pat and Kim, because they have been working on this thing for a couple days. There's been a lot of questions back and forth. Pat came up with a time frame, so I'll present it to you. And then you have to decide if you want. The advertisement for bid is at the paper, but I will not allow them to put it in the paper until instructed otherwise.
Okay, go ahead.
So advertisement on the 26th and the 3rd of October. There would be a walkthrough for any interested contractors on September 30th at 10 a.m. We walked 3 contractors, two or three. We walked 3 contractors through it already, so we're going to have another walkthrough, because those 3 have an unfair advantage. They've already seen the building. At which point on Thursday, October 8th at 2 p.m., we would open sealed bids.
Did you say Thursday?
Thursday.
That would be the 1st.
No, Thursday would be October 8th.
Oh, you're going another week, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Okay,
because
go
we
ahead.
have an advertisement statute that we have to adhere
Right,
to.
okay.
In a special meeting on October 9th, we would approve the bids. The contract has already been through legal, so that's not going to be a problem. We would issue a notice to proceed and get a contract signed on October 13th with a start work on October 19th. So if all the dominoes fall into place perfectly and one doesn't get out of line on us, we'll be able to start at the same time that we had originally thought we were going to start when we were going to open the bids on the 29th.
Okay.
It's just a condensed time frame, and it's really like we've never done this that I know of. But Pat put together the time frame, and he's been working with Kim on the federal language. So I feel really comfortable at this point, whereas I didn't before, that we're stepping in the right direction now. The meetings are already scheduled, so I assume that you guys have agreed to those. We met with community development. Is that correct? I mean, the meetings are on the calendar, so I'm assuming we're
yeah.
fine. Okay. Corey and I met with OEM and community development because they were 6 weeks out, and that isn't going to work for us. So David is going to move this to the front. We've already got correspondence back from them on Corey's set of plans. So he's going to move it to the front, and then he's probably going to talk to you guys about having to move some people back in order to get this to the front. But we got to get it done.
Fair enough, okay.
It will go to the lowest responsive bidder, and
Excuse me, we're still on option 2.
yes, we're still on option 2.
Go ahead.
I don't think there are any other options. It's just,
This
Well,
is-
option 3 would be don't do it, so that one's really not on
okay,
the table
okay,
either.
Fair enough.
The only, and I feel really good about it, and I know Corey does too, when I'm going to get to this point, that because it's a remodel and it's mostly finish work, I'd be really surprised if we had some kind of a change order that would really cause grief. I think the thing that could cause us more grief is if the drywall guy decides he wants to go hunting for a week and he doesn't show up. But it still, we run the risk of, if we can't get it done on time, we might lose our funding.
so funding for the whole project or funding for what is left?
What is left? And what I see that could possibly be, if it, worst case scenario, would be we're into the punch list and they can't get the punch list done and we may be sitting on retainage. And that number I can't tell you because I don't have
On what did you say? You named-
retainage.
Okay,
We
all
may,
right.
which wouldn't be that much. I mean, depending on the project, what, $10,000-$12,000 maybe? Right. Right. So, and that was the reason why I asked to put it on the weekly status update, so that I could keep you guys abreast. We're moving right along, everything's fine, or now we have a problem. So I guess what I'm asking for now is, and I know Dan Mattos Dan, do you want to just come up and address this right now? There's some question about this money, and it is supposed to be for the OEC, okay? So Dan.
You mean EOC?
The EOC.
The Office of Emergency Management, not the Emergency Operations Center.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
never mind. Go ahead.
you know what I meant. Okay,
Want me to go ahead?
yeah.
Well, and my understanding is,
I don't think the mic's picking
There
up.
you go.
is that okay?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
better.
My understanding is that one of the components of the grant is that the building has to be used exclusively for the Office of Emergency Management. Of course, if there's an event, it would be turned into an Emergency Operations Center, which is another byproduct of this project. So in our original design plans, there was some provisions made there to put a detective there make that like a substation where that detective would come and go from work. And there was also elements of the plan that allowed for a report writing area. So first and foremost, we want to do everything that is necessary to comply with the components of the grant. And from my understanding, or based on my understanding in my conversations with Shawn, that detective substation, or I'm sorry, the detective could not be permanently placed there. We accept that. Take it off the table if that's
Okay.
going to get in the way. My other understanding is that the issue of the report writing room, which is okay to have that there because that's not a permanent fixture. And so again, whatever we need to do to comply with the grant, we'll do that. Did I cover it all, Shawn?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and in the event of the emergency operate, I'm just going to say it because I'm getting them all confused. In the event that the EOC was activated, the Emergency Operations Center, they already understand that they're not even going to be in there writing reports. So no law enforcement personnel is going to report to work there or is going to check out from work there. The only people that report to work there is the OEM staff. Now, there was some question on the other end of the building. There's a rather small, I'm going to say it's probably 10 by 15 by 20, 15 by 30.
Dogs?
That the canine's going to use. No CARES money is being spent on that at all. They have a donation fund that they can spend their money on if they want to take that building and the land it sits on is not being paid for by CARES dollars.
Okay, fair
so
enough.
the canine is not part of the equation.
Got it.
So I think now
So basically, we are not permanently housing law enforcement in that building.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No matter what, we want to comply exactly with what the rules are. So
Sure.
if that means
Understood.
something has to go, then it'll go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. So what I need is I need your blessing to get this thing in the paper. I'll just tell Terry to call the press. It's already sitting there. They've already approved it. And then the rest of the dominoes, so to speak, are going to start falling in place, and hopefully they stay lined up straight.
So then your recommendation is that we go with option 2?
I recommend option 2. Let's go for it. I think we can do it. We think we can do it. So I would recommend option 2. I think option 1 is going to give you a lot of heartache down the road, number one. And the problem, and it's just happened to me once before, actually, when we remodeled where HR is now, when we pulled repro out. The architect's estimate was 185. That was what we thought. So we did 3 formal bids. 2 came in over 200. We had to stop and do this whole process because it fell out of statute. So that could very well happen with option 1. So I would suggest 2. It's cleaner. 2, if we go with 2, we got all the state procurement laws met. That's a really good thing for us because, nobody can say we didn't follow statute. And it gets the project done, and there's no grief down the road on how we're going to get new lighting in there or new blinds or any of that kind of stuff.
What's the CARES funding for this? Tiffany, do you want, is it 650? Okay.
Right.
Do you anticipate that we're going to come near that level by the time we're done?
I mean, the construction side of it came in about 513, so 513 is that's construction. I'd say we could, it just depends, we're getting bids in right now for like furniture and AV and things along those lines, and some are coming in higher, some are coming in lower, so we might be right around that ballpark.
Okay, all right.
And we can eliminate some things if it doesn't go that way. Like, for instance, the telecommunications will be provided, owner installed. The security access and that type of stuff is owner provided, owner installed. Furniture, owner provided, owner installed.
Kim, can you come up, please?
Come up to microphone. Sorry.
You can take a seat if you don't want to stand.
I just wanted to mention another possible funding option that we've spoken about if it were to slightly go over even before this state versus federal procurement has come up is your EMPG funding.
Yeah, we have
So there
some
are other funds possibly available that are still other grant dollars.
Okay.
That I think would offset if there was any reason for going over, there would be funding available,
Yeah.
I believe.
Those funds can't cover construction costs, but they can cover things like furniture and things along
Okay,
those
fair
lines.
enough.
We can Open up funding for construction.
Okay.
on the CARES side.
It's not bad. Question. Thanks, Kim. David's role, Callahan.
Yes.
What is that exactly?
So David's role is to get the plans reviewed as quickly as possible and have a permit in our hands as soon as possible. We would like to have that permit prior to October 19th. Yeah, but that's that's his role, is to get us a permit as soon as possible. You know, I think, like Corey said, we're probably gonna beat that. We're probably gonna have a permit in a week or two. After that, his role is, you know, when we call for inspection, they need to come out. It can't be, we'll be there in 3 days, because if we call for a framing inspection, for instance, we can't do anything until the framing inspection is completed.
Fair enough.
So that's his role, and we talked to him, and, you know, he's on board. David's on
fair
board.
enough.
Yeah, he's on board.
I have no further questions. Leslie? Bill?
None.
Are we ready for a motion?
Sure.
Go right ahead.
I move that we proceed with the state procurement process for the Armory Building project with the dates outlined, publishing September 26th and October 3rd, walkthrough on September 30th, open bids on the 8th, approved bids on the 9th, and then contract on the October 13th.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
And we commence construction on the 19th, is that
Yes,
right?
notice to
I
proceed.
second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and option number 2 is presented by our consultant, Shawn Riley, is approved. We are proceeding.
Okay.
So I do want to make sure that we address what the future costs are going to be when we have to hook up to Hayden Sewer, and utilities, janitorial, maintenance, mowing, snow removal, all those kinds of things. So I want to know how we're going to proceed forward on those, and we can handle that at any status update.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's a county facility, right?
Yep.
Okay, anything else? Public comment?
I do think it's gonna be cheaper.
Go ahead.
I do think it's gonna be cheaper with regards to the sewer for you to hook into the Hayden sewer system than it is for even though Stephen might have some of the stuff, it's still gonna be cheaper than running that longer line.
Understood.
Okay.
Any other public comment? None? 10:20, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.